Nimekupea permission.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I think you should start recording, and then I'll just pass it over to her to start. So I'm sorry if I'm going to butcher your name, Deborah, but yeah. So Ifeoluwa Deborah is a translational research enthusiast, driven by the desire to see a transformed and sustainable society, stemming from the advance of STEM. She holds a PhD in molecular biology and biotechnology from, we call it PAUSTI, the Pan African University in Kenya, under the African Union Scholarship. She is currently a WISTA postdoc fellow at the Tumour Virology Lab at the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, and this is in Italy. Her research interests are in host-pathogen interactions in drug development, especially in biopharmaceuticals, because it's able to contribute significantly to achieving equity in healthcare through available, accessible, and affordable efficacious therapy. So for about a decade, she has participated in research that involves AMR surveillance, exploring therapeutic potentials for medicinal plants, and also investigating mechanisms of pathogenesis. During her PhD, she generated 2 recombinant peptides that are potent against human pathogens. And these 2 peptides have been enlisted as critical priority for drug development by the WHO. She also developed a biodegradable, non-toxic plant dye-based nucleic acid loading buffer, which is being used for gel electrophoresis. Her current research involves investigating the interactions of high-risk human papillomavirus, what we call HPV, subtypes within the human cells, and also exploring the potential of a novel peptide in blocking some of the interactions to be used for therapeutic approaches. So with 2 patent applications to her name, Ifeoluwa aspires to create more solutions in health science through biotechnology. It is also her aspiration to build the extensive skills needed to transform laboratory discoveries to products. In her free time, she enjoys sightseeing. Um, Over to you, Deborah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Ruth. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, Nehemiah. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of this and share my journey. So I'm going to be taking this very literal and take you through my journey. Basically, everything about, the major thing about me has been highlighted in the biography. So Ifeoluwa Deborah would be the easier name for most people, but you can call me Ife or Deborah. I would answer to both. So my science journey, when Nehemiah told me about this, I actually questioned that title, my science journey, because there are points where I feel like I've not even started the journey yet, But then looking back at, say, over 10 years or almost 10 years now of actively staying in this field of life science, I think there is a journey. Maybe not a whole story that's going to make up a Forbes list, but definitely there is a story. It will be my pleasure, great honor to share with you today. So I try to take this literally, and I titled my presentation, The Journey Becoming IDG. IDG is actually an acronym that has gradually become like a brand tag for me. IDG is basically my name, Ifeoluwa Deborah Gbala. But then since tagging this IDG, I realized it gave me a different sense of responsibility, because now I see it more than a name, but more of a journey, more of a destination. I see it as more of a brand, a personal brand. So today I will be taking you through the journey so far on becoming IDG. So here's the road trip, literally. From the start, I started basically, of course, you go to high school, you're in science class, And coming from West Africa, I'm Nigerian, by the way. Coming from West Africa, the only thing you can do in science and will be considered productive is when you're a medical doctor. It might be different in your countries, but that's the reality back home. If you're not a medical doctor, I mean, you're not in science. If you're not a lawyer, then you're not in arts. That is how, even till present day, majorly, although it's changing, but that is how it was when I started out to look for undergraduate studies back then in 2008. So I did apply to become a medical doctor. There is an exam we write called WAEC, West African Examination Council, and it's a mandatory examination for you to be able to get into the university plus JAM. Yeah. So I did pass. I got admitted. I was offered an admission for medicine into the University of Ilorin. However, when my WAEC result was released, the physics was not released, and physics is one of the subjects that you need to qualify to be able to be admitted for medicine. Yeah. So the school gave me 1 month to present the result, else the admission slot would be taken. So within this 1 month, the result did not come out. I was really, really devastated because I did not see myself doing anything aside medicine in life. I mean, that's the only way to be successful in science. So after waiting for a whole 1 month, my father decided that I was going to write an exam for another university to study microbiology. I mean, I didn't even know anybody who was doing microbiology at that time, to be very honest. So I just felt like, okay, I'll just respect my parents, but then I know I'm going for medicine. A month, 13 days, my physics result was released. I went back to University of Ilorin and they told me, oh, medicine is quite competitive, the slot is gone. I could say those were very worst moments of my young life because up to that point, I've never felt any form of disappointment in academics, although at a young age. So because I was keen on being in the university immediately after my high school, I decided to go for microbiology. But one thing I was doing is missing classes because I was very sure, just very sure, I wasn't going to stay there. I'm still going to try again the following year for my medicine. I just have to become a doctor. Yeah. So I missed classes. I missed cards. I would just be in the hostel. It wasn't a priority. Until one day, one of the very few classes I attended was that of Dr. Tony Adeshemoye. I think he's in the US now. He was a lecturer who was on, I think he was on sabbatical then. So he came back to the institute, and his first class, he was really talking about prospects in microbiology, the versatility that it brings, the flexibility, what you can become, what you can do. It was an insightful class for me, but it was too late because at that time, my GP was already around 2 points, 2.4, I think. So I knew there was no way I would make it first class. But one thing I can still do is try and get a second class and actually understand this field, build more interest in microbiology. So that was basically the start for me. In as much as I embraced this new world and sort of abandoned the interest for medicine, I was still uncertain what to do with it. I didn't know, I don't know, what do you do with microbiology, especially in a country like Nigeria, whereby it is not accepted as a professional course, yeah? So even if you have a master's in medical microbiology, you are still not allowed to clinically practice as a medical microbiologist. So I didn't know what else to do with it. But one thing I was persistent in doing is building my skills to have the necessary repertoire should anything come up in the future. And the first thing was getting a good result, ensuring that the paper would be able to get me more attention in the future. Uncertainties led to 2012 when I was finishing school. Okay, so now I'm finishing. What will be the next thing? Seek for a job or what master's degree? But then why? Because I think we've gone to a level in the world whereby going for postgraduate studies is no longer based on a rational decision. It's just based on, well, that's the next available thing to do. And I have been very conscious about not jumping on the next thing to do or just ticking a box according to societal standards. I've been very conscious of that. So when I was finishing school, my final year project was on exploring the inhibitory potentials of black tea. It was a strange topic to me because my supervisor came up with that topic. Like, we all drink tea, so what? So that was my very first interest in understanding or appreciating the importance of medicinal products or medicinal plants, natural products, and how much of benefits they do have beyond what you do know. Like, I had a first-hand interaction with seeing inhibitory effect of black tea, green tea on pathogens. And that was quite exciting for me. Like, okay, I think I love this because if you're able to develop drugs from natural products and something as simple as tea could work wonders, I think I'm loving this area. I had a chat with my supervisor. What can I do if I really want to pursue this area of drug development? What is it called? Then he told me, oh, they have to be in medical microbiology or pharmaceutical microbiology. Like, yeah, so we will go for a master's. In as much as I was going for a master's, it was clearer, right? It was clearer that I wanted to pursue microbiology further, and I wanted to do it in the area of pharmaceutical microbiology. So I called that my epiphany. That was my period of realization, the period whereby I realized the skills that I needed. I realized the destination I was heading to. What the journey entails wasn't totally clear, but I had a good incline of how to start. I proceeded for my master's degree, and it was a beautiful experience because now I was more intentional, going for trainings, going for short courses, coupled with my daily activities, expectations as a master's student. I took up a project that was considered over-ambitious. That word always rings a bell in my head. That was considered over-ambitious for a master's student in my school then. But I wanted to prove a point to myself. If I'm going to be that person who eventually convinces my parents after how many years of my decision not to go back for medicine, I have to do it right. I have to really break the barrier, raise the bar, raise it so high for myself. So my period of realization came whereby I knew who I am. I knew the kind of powers or points of powers I needed to activate for myself, which was information, which was a network. And the most important thing is I knew the destination. The duration of the journey, I did not know. Even at this moment, I'm still not sure how I'm going to get there, whether I'm going to be walking, whether I'm going to be flying on a plane, whether I'm going to be cycling. I had no idea at that point. But I knew the journey, I knew the start point, and I knew the people or the things that I needed to get there. So master's was smooth. It was nice. I got publications. I think the first year of my master's, I got a graduate assistant position, and I was doing a whole lot of research. I started from the antimicrobial public health laboratory where I was doing AMR, doing medicinal plants, loads of it. Then moved to the ecotoxicological lab where I had more experiences on environmental surveillance for pathogens, understanding resistance, and it was just a really broad experience. And that was really inspiring for me because I felt I was doing right, okay? However, it got to a point whereby I felt comfortable. I felt too comfortable with myself, with whatever I was doing. Nothing was new. It wasn't a challenge anymore. It's like doing the same thing over and over again. And knowing me, I'm somebody who gets triggered by new challenges. Like I'm excited when there is something that I don't know that I need to know. It keeps me on my toes. It gets me excited. It keeps adrenaline pumping. I always want the next thing. So my master's was rounding up. I faced the overambitious research squarely, learning new skills on the go, because most times, most of the researches I take up, I do not even have prior experiences in them, but something I have always taught myself is learning, and learning comes with humility, learning comes with pain, learning comes with pleasure. I never, ever take that for granted, the importance of learning and showing humility in learning, actually. So at that point, I realized I wanted to pursue my PhD. So in 2016, I started rolling out applications for PhD, loads of application, loads of application, loads of rejection. I mean, it got to a point whereby when I see the email from the very first line, I already know the content. I don't even bother to get to that point that we had the pool of great applications. Unfortunately, no. I don't even bother reading it to that part, because from the first line, I already know how these emails are sent. In 2017, I thought it was a better year because I was getting interviews now. I remember having my first interview with Kingston University London in 2017, January. Okay. In January 2017, it was good. I got the offer. Before the interview, I guess I didn't know that this was just going to be partial funding. But after I got the offer, I was told, okay, I'm going to be given the EU funding tuition, which is like 4,000 out of 12. Yeah. I'm like, nah, 8,000 from where? I mean, my father is not the next millionaire in town. Yeah. So it came like that. Manchester, Leeds, Emory University, a long, long list. So 2017 would be that year where I would say I hit a roadblock in my science journey and my journey as a whole, because now I felt no matter how much the efforts I had put in building myself, enhancing my skills, becoming better, learning skills, building my research skills, learning how to write scientifically and all, it seems not to be yielding because I wasn't getting this much desired scholarship. But then I realized that one thing I wasn't appreciated is what I call the PEG factor. The PEG factor is it's an acronym for personal, environmental, and the gut factor, yeah? The personal factor in terms of, I think I had put in my best. Environmental factor in the terms, in the sense of, it's not as if all these applications are just sitting there waiting for me. It's competitive. There are other people in the world who are probably coming from a better background when it comes to training, when it comes to education, which is the reality of the world. Even if they feel, oh, well, it's a good application, but there are better applications. That is the environmental factor. And the gut factor, I'm not preaching, but I'm always conscious of the gut factor in terms of, is this his plan? Is this his timing or just my timing? So I had to really embrace PEG in 2017 and really put a peg on my journey, yeah? That at this point, I'm just going to be very conscious about not just the personal factor, but the EGs as well, the environmental and the gut factor. And I would do my best, become better, but still allow things to follow the law of spontaneity. So I decided to put in for a self-funded PhD in Nigeria. 2017, 2018, I started actively. 2019, I continued the PhD. I was still doing graduate research assistantship, of course. So it was a year where I had more publications. I was growing personally. I incorporated community service. I was just doing better for myself and try to accept the fact that the destination is the destination. I had never, ever been sure of the means of transportation to the destination, but I was definitely sure of the destination. So whether I get the scholarship and I travel, or whether I have to do a self-funded PhD, the point is I know I'm going to get a PhD, which is part of the things I needed in this journey. Flashback to 2019, 6 days after my birthday, I got the scholarship to study PhD in molecular biology and biotechnology. Mind you, regardless of self-funding for 2 years, I was still applying. I was still applying. And my reason for applying consistently wasn't just because I wanted to leave the shores of my country. Nah, it has never been that. It has never ever been that as the motivation. Is because I am never comfortable with an environment that puts me at my relaxed state all the time. An environment that just, man, you're so good. Nah. I just want to challenge that good at different levels. I want a bigger, broader experience, because the truth is, when it comes to advance in science, we definitely know that the hub for that is not back home yet. So it was about me really pursuing what I needed in this journey, critically, with all focus. That was just it. Now 2 years into PhD, like 2 whole years of working, spending personal money, juggling work and PhD studies, it became so much of a hard decision to make. And I didn't tell my parents, because I knew what my mom would rather say. Oh, you're almost finishing. Why are you not going to start over? So I didn't tell anybody. I just wanted to figure this out on my own. And I remember asking myself these basic questions. What do you want out of this? Do you want the title, or do you want the experience? Number two is, where do you see yourself as? A local champion or a global scientist? So I told myself, I do not just want the title. I mean, anybody can become doctors with universities, honorary, whatever awards being given out to people, even musicians who never made it past high school, whatever, they just get honorary awards for doctorate, then they become doctors. So it's not about the title. And then I want more versatility that puts me at a highly competitive level globally. I do not want to be that good girl from a village who is doing well in a local laboratory. That will not put me in the position to impact lives, to mentor younger people, to be impactful, to prove to people that the only thing you can do in science is not medicine. I mean, there is much more that you could bring, that you could be in science, and will still lead to the bigger picture, the bigger goal of being a productive and sustainable person to your environment. That was my driving force. That was my motivation. That is what helped me build the cognitive resilience, the emotional resilience to make tough decisions, of abandoning that program at that point to start over. And I consider that part of my life, that stupid decision I was making to a lot of people then, as the breakthrough. Going into molecular biology, I knew nothing about it other than the trainings I've been going for in PCR. You know how PCR, even in present day, there are countries where you still go to, and there are just very few laboratories that actually own PCR machines. And you guys have to like pay for these heavy trainings, and you're like 6 on 2 samples, it was big deal. So everything I knew about PCR and all of these things, they were 80% theoretical. I could talk about it. I could pass an exam in it. But when it comes to the bench, I was void, blank, an open sheet. So I remember I was covered because I resumed and I was part of the lockdown set, the COVID, the COVID set. So I was a little bit covered because we were doing a lot of online courses. So I wasn't exposed. I was reading, participating well in class, blah, blah, blah. But one thing happened. In the very first class we had, everybody was introducing themselves, my amazing colleagues. And they were talking about all these experiences. I've done this in Germany. I was at EMBO. I was at India for this at the technology, blah, 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 talking about things they've done. I was hearing SMPs for the first time, and this is what people have done, what they did at their master's level. And I was like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, I had not canceled my studentship back home. There is still like very good opportunity to run back and just go back and do what I know, because it seems I'm at the lowest in this class. I'm at the bottom. Like there was no argument about that. I was at the bottom of the bottom. So I got home. Sorry, after that class, I called my mentor and I told him, sir, this thing is not for me. I mean, everybody in that class is made. They understand what they're doing. They are there already. And it seems like I'm never going to be on par with them. So he just said, okay, yeah, this isn't the first time I'm hearing that declaration from you, but make sure that the next time you're calling me, the story has changed. He did not give me a shoulder to cry on. So there was no pep. It was really straightforward, really harsh. And that is one thing I've always appreciated in my life, having people who would appreciate me as well as call me out. Whether it's a mentor, whether it's a friend, whether it's an accountability partner. It is important that as you journey through the career, you have an accountability check, somebody who is very intentional about your growth, sees your vision, buys into your vision, keys into that vision, supports the vision, and always serves as a reminder for you when you are swaying. It doesn't have to be sweet. In fact, it works better for me when it comes out in the harshest way possible. And that is what I got. So it jolted me, and I'm like, okay, well, you would like challenges, where here is it. You wanted challenges, well, there you go. Face it, go for it. And that is exactly what I did. I would talk to my colleagues. So when you did this, there is a colleague of mine who I borrowed his textbook, genetic engineering, and I didn't return it to him until after my PhD defense. That book spent 3 years with me. And I would read that book like I was reading. Okay, I don't even read Bible that much, yeah. But I read that book like I was reading a text message from a very cool dude on my phone, right? I was intentional about reading that book because I wanted to know more. I wanted to face this challenge and actually overcome it. And most times we realize that we are usually concerned about, oh, I just want to get this opportunity, but then the perks that comes with it, the annoying commitments you have to make, the responsibilities, you might not have a full idea about that. And when it's put right to your face, you don't have that resilience to absorb it. So it begins to question your tenacity. It begins to question even the little you knew before. And you begin to doubt yourself every step of the way. Then imposter syndrome kicks in. And at that point, every milestone becomes useless to you. It doesn't matter how much of struggle you went through to get to that point, you begin to undermine it because there is a new challenge you were never prepared for. And because others are doing better, you've actually underestimated yourself so badly that whatever it is you've overcome in the past does not matter anymore. So I really picked myself up reading. Then the first practical came when the lockdown regulations were lessened. I just knew where I wanted to be, at the back. Good for me, it wasn't individual, it was a group. So I just allowed my group members take the front seat, and I was just finding my way in the back row, back row, back row. So the first day, we were doing DNA extraction, actually, for you to know how void I was in that area. DNA extraction went, RNA extraction, then we had to do RT-PCR. And my group did not get results. The other groups are getting results. We don't have results. And I remember our tutor saying, oh, it doesn't matter. The experience is what matters. I'm like, nah, there is no experience without results. It's either it's positive or it's negative. Negative is a result, but not a desired result. So what we need, if there is the whole essence of putting on all this heavy mass, coming to the lab is such that you get the experience and you're able to analyze the result, which is still part of the experience. But if there is no result to analyze, how do I validate this experience? Validation is always key. In as much as you say, oh, no pressure, you are your competition. No, even if I'm going to be my own competition, let me always raise the bar for self-validation so that others can see me and actually believe in their own journey, that I live so that others may have a hope in life. That is actually my self-motto. So I went to the tutor after everybody left the lab that day. I'm like, please, can you just allow me go back and repeat this experiment on my own for my group? He was like, that means you won't be leaving the lab until about 7 p.m. I was like, yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm fine. So I sat down, picked the protocols, repeated the entire experiment, and ran the gel the following day. And we got results. I don't know, that moment felt like I literally broke my way through a wall. That was a defining moment that says, you can do it. Yeah, it's as simple as DNA extraction, gen electrophoresis, and PCR. But I did it. The novice, the amateur did it and got results. That is growth. So my growth mindset got triggered, which is embracing everything that comes in the journey with open mind, learning through the thorns. Even with my clothes shredded, I'm still gonna move ahead and look beautiful. Because at the end of the day, with my torn clothes, I'm still gonna stand and people are going to see the evidence of a journey in me. So I was so keen, I'm gonna follow through. And that moment I decided I could do it and I will do it. And I did it. Coming from a zero, in my second year, that was when I developed my first product that is currently under substantive examination with the African Regional Intellectual Property Organization. Then, from my PhD research, I also developed 2 products. So in the space of 3 years, in a new experience, in a new challenge, I was not just only able to overcome this hurdle, but I was able to own it and create in it and build upon what I've created. Coming up with 2 patents, it's no big deal, but it's big deal to me. Starting from 0 and jumping so many skills to about 50, that is big deal. And that is just an evidence of understanding your points of power, activating them when needed, which is like every day if you're in this field of science, because the moment you blink, something new is happening. Building the resilience you need emotionally, cognitive, social resilience to build the right network, approach the right people, know what to read, know when to read it, know how to decipher it, know how to comprehend, assimilate, and translate it. That was it for me. Then the story of my postdoc is actually one I love to tell. I was in the lab, one of the frustrating PhD research days for me was on the bench. Then the team visited the institute and they wanted to meet a student. Like they just wanted a student working in the lab to know their experience because it was a sightseeing for a project. So I was really, really pissed, to be honest, when I was invited to come talk to the team. And the question is, one question you can always find me answering even in my sleep is, what are you working on or what do you do? Ooh, I am always excited about it because I feel when you know what you're doing and you talk about it, it makes it more believable for you. And it actually gives you that sense of belonging beyond, oh, I'm just doing this for a minute. It's just to get a title and move on. It shows or reminds me that I'm actually in this for a bigger picture, which is translational research, which is application, which is merging laboratory discoveries and translating them to the industry. That is it. And that was it. That was the whole conversation. And two of them, which is like the two bosses offered me, like gave me their cards, send me an email. That was it. And since getting here, it's again a new field, a new area, tumor virology. Never liked oncology, never liked cancer research, but here I am loving it every day. And I'm quite grateful for all the things that worked for me and that are still working for me, which, if I'm going to summarize, would be one, knowing who I am from the beginning, knowing where I was headed from the beginning, knowing the things I needed in the journey from the beginning, and actively pursuing them even in the face of a roadblock. The willingness, the self-drive to always jump the hurdle. That is another thing. So yes, I have the skills today. Bioinformatics, genomics, molecular biology, proteomics, amazing. But then I am not there yet. I am not even close. Because to me, the destination is that point whereby I can teach people, show people how to easily pick these laboratory discoveries and take them from just being the thing you do to get a title to big deals, to something that changes the life of just one person, the next person to you, that transforms the society, that helps science become believable. Believable in the sense that it is tangible enough for even the uneducated to appreciate it, especially in the line of biopharmaceuticals. I am African. I am always going to speak for that continent first. There are tons and thousands of medicinal plants. Tons and thousands of medicinal plant research is done on that continent that yields nothing. We don't even have like cough syrup to say, okay, this is from this Senna Lata tree that I've worked on. It is still the same cycle. An unfortunate incident was that in Gambia, whereby a cough syrup from a pharmaceutical company in India caused death of children. Yet we have lime juice, we have honey, original honey mixed together that makes something and kills cough in very short days, but we still do not have that translational effect where it gets to the industry and whereby we get our own people to believe in our own solutions through our own science. So that is my destination. And I'm on the journey. I am consistent in the journey. It comes with its own responsibilities, its own sacrifices, to be honest, because most weekends, every other person is in their house here having fun. Most weekends, I'm in the lab. But then when I hear, oh, that thing you discovered, I was able to utilize it for, yes, that is fulfillment. So as a roundup, everybody has a unique journey, but we do have similarities in this journey. We might have a different destination, but we'll most likely use the same route. You might decide to do picky, do whatever or whatnot. But at every point of this time, I mentioned the part of building your resilience, understanding what you need, build your arsenal such that every time you're battle ready, build your repertoire. You never know that meeting, that conversation that takes you to the next level in your journey. And always learn and accept the insult that comes with learning. Humility in learning is key. You can even realize you're going to an undergraduate, even as a doctorate degree holder, just to learn something new. Science is a field that evolves every second. And the beauty of being an amateur is that you get to know more. So always enjoy that moment where you're an amateur, enhance your growth mindset, embrace the challenge, and walk through it with full force. Yeah, so that is my journey of becoming an IDG. And I hope someday in the future, in the nearest future, you guys can meet IDG and remember that she mentioned it at some point. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Over to you, Ruth. Thank you so much.
Amazing, inspiring story for you. I mean, I can't, I don't know. Yeah, that was really amazing. I actually picked two very important things you mentioned about medicine not being the only thing you can do in science. And I think most of us from secondary school were usually tied to, oh no, I want to do medicine, I want to become a medical doctor. And just seeing that there are other things you can do, including science, that would still translate into medical research and all that. So just to ask you a personal question, do you think you're fulfilling your purpose in science rather than medicine?
Absolutely. I'm just going to ask that question to myself right here. What is my purpose? My purpose wouldn't be just to be a good doctor, because anybody just could end up being an amazing doctor, somebody who is good at what they do. But my bigger purpose is to be able to impact lives, touch lives, transform the society. So it doesn't matter whether I end up as a medical doctor, whether I end up as a mechanic, which I would have been terrible at, by the way, because I don't know physics. But the beauty is that now I'm in a place whereby I can understand how infections affect people, how diseases are caused, and also go a step higher to probably discovering drugs that would help. So yes, I feel super fulfilled. Not fully yet though. Yeah, because I don't have any drug in the market yet.
Yeah. But also talking about that, I think you mentioned you have like two patents from your PhD research. Are you okay with maybe sharing how far that is in the WHO pipeline? Maybe, yeah, in terms of policy
Okay.
adoption. Yeah.
Okay. The first, without details, the first
Yeah.
patent application, the first patent application is actually to be further funded by the African Development Bank, and it's basically using a plant dye instead of bromophenol blue, the cyanol, the silane in the loading buffer, nucleic acids.
Yeah.
So you're eliminating the problem of toxicity completely. You're eliminating the problem of non-biodegradability because of their synthetic nature. And you're on a bigger picture, improving users' experience as well as building a more sustainable environment when it comes to discharge. The second one are actually antimicrobial peptides. They are antimicrobial peptides that you would normally not be able to easily produce because they have disulfide bonds, right? You need a complex system to be able to produce them, mammalian cells and at the least yeast cells. So you to be able to take them into E. coli, which is a more simplified system for recombinant production, when you're looking at climbing the ladder of biopharmaceuticals, you're thinking accessibility, you're thinking availability, you're thinking affordability. If you want to make therapy affordable, then it starts from the production. Because if there is something that discourages a lot of pharmaceutical investment, it is the cost, especially when it comes to antibiotics. Yeah. So now taking it into a simplified production system like E. coli, that is largely a cheap means of production in quote, yeah. It takes genetic engineering. It takes extra in and out here designs to be able to produce correct folding in the cytoplasm of DSP, which would normally, disulfide bond, which would normally not be achievable using the E. coli machinery. So my PhD research involved tweaking E. coli to be able to produce these proteins in their correct folding and retain biological function, and eventually purified the peptides and tested them to the point of mechanism of action. So after the substantive examination by the ARIFO, that would also take up to clinical trials.
Thank you so much for sharing. So if we have any questions for Deborah, please just raise your hand or type in the chat box, and then give you an okay to ask it from the audience. Maybe I can ask another question. I think most of us are usually unaware of opportunities that are in the continent. So we mostly focus on looking for opportunities outside Africa, like maybe Europe or US or anywhere else. So maybe could you share about platforms that maybe people can use to access such opportunities within the continent?
Okay, platforms within the continent, the only one I would strongly recommend, or maybe I wouldn't say the only existing one, would be going through African Union, to be honest. The opportunities you would see would most likely come from African Union and African Development Bank, both of them together. And recently, I know Rwanda is really doing a lot when it comes to health tech now. And they are starting the first vaccine production, I think, later in the year in collaboration with Biotechnology. So if you really want to key into internship and maybe even opportunities for research, it's called RVC, Rwanda Biomedical Center, might be somewhere to look into. And of course, if you're still interested in, what do you call it? Research, maybe you're a resident somewhere within Africa and you need a good laboratory for molecular biology, I also strongly recommend my alma mater, which is PAUST, hosted by J.K. Yuat in Kenya. So that is also one of those things in the Pan-African University Scholarship. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. I thought I saw Njuki, I think. Did you raise your hand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the talk, Gabla. I wanted to ask about your balance between science and family, that now that you're a woman that is in science, and how that journey has been and what you're doing at the moment, because most of the women, it gets to a point where, we're also battling being a woman and our cycles and also the science. So kindly, if you could explain, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why I always fear this part of the question coming up. Somehow I was hoping that wouldn't pop up here, but yeah, there we go. Science and womanhood. Let me start with the general lie. It's doable. It's simple. You can just merge it together. It's just about understanding your timetable. That's a lie. Choosing science as a career to the level you desire, if you're into academics and just academics, well, spot on. You're still able to merge. For me, I am more tilted towards doing research, and research it is. So let's paint this picture together. Monday to Saturday, most times Sunday, I'm in the lab. Sitting down, there is somebody's son somewhere who would want to have family time, who would want to gist and joke, but then I actually have 10 minutes to do that when I come back tired in the evening. The truth is, what I've come to understand from listening to people who have been able to merge both is you need a partner who understands the life you have chosen. You need a partner who sees it the way you see it, who knows you would not be as available as that woman who owns a shop, who knows you won't be as available as that woman who just maybe goes to a store and she's back, or somebody who is a full housewife. No disrespect to them on that. But the absolute truth is that for me, I do have a relationship, hoping to get married soon. I guess I'm working on my gown design, which tends to be taking a lot of time, but I will get there. Getting there, I'm 30 years of age, and waiting this long, according to West African Yoruba societal standards, I'm already at the late phase. In fact, I've gotten to that phase where prayers are being said every day for me to get married. Yeah. So pushing it this long is to be able to settle down and push myself to a level in that career whereby I have more stability, whereby I do not have to jump around so much that I fail on the home front. So at times the timing is key. I can't imagine. I give a lot of respect to women who actually combine PhD with marriage. I couldn't have imagined being married during my PhD. I would most likely get the degree and maybe a divorce battle, to be honest, because I know how much time I dedicated to it. So being a woman in science comes with loads of sacrifices to be made. And more importantly, in my opinion, a partner that understands the life and the career you've chosen. It might not be easy to come by, but it has to happen for it to happen. Else, I just see there might just be so much pressure, so much rift, that you might have to choose one over the other. So women who have been doing it that I've seen, they have partners who definitely understand the line of work they're in. And I think, to me, that might be the solution. Because there are two different fields that needs like equal amount of attention, and balancing them means bringing my entire family to the bench, to the lab. So I cook as I'm using the Bunsen flame, or maybe use the Bunsen flame to cook for them, and we're all good. So Ruth, Ruth or Unjuki, sorry, I really don't know. But for me, so far, he has been understanding. I hope it remains that way. That is all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah. So there is a question on the chat from Paseli. She's asking, what will it take for Africa to get to the translation step of research? What are your opinions on that?
What will it take for research to get to translation? Number one, we need a scientist with the right mindset rather. Because at this point, most people developing into science in Africa are there for two missions. It has heavy grant, right? What's the next thing to do? Money, 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 drive. Coming to the other side of the world here, there is something I've realized in how they approach science. They are hungry for discoveries. It's different for us. Most times you even grumble when your supervisor says repeat an experiment, right? Because you're done, you just want to do it and move on. Now imagine dedicating years of your life to pursue one hypothesis and ends up yielding nothing. So if you really want to go translational research wise, of course, the government factors, political factors, instability, funding for research goes a long way. But I'm always from the point of mindset, because if I have a mindset to develop something, I can reach out, go out, get the necessary skills, come back, build a good network of people who are ready to pass through the needle hole to establish something. So our mindset goes a long way. So if we build the right mindset, then we begin to advocate, approach, punch holes in the right places. Like, why are we getting just minimal funding for science and technology, and we claim we want to move forward? Why are we getting loads of things? For example, there is this show in Nigeria, Big Brother Nigeria, and it's millions, like about 30 million or 50 million for the winner, for going on national TV to do nothing. How do we get people to convert ideas like this into supporting science startups, into supporting early career scientists? And good thing coming for female now, if you're partnering with OWSD, that's the Organization of Women in Science from Developing Countries, there are so many opportunities now for women who are early career scientists that you can really key into. Loads of trainings. If you look at Trialect as well, there are short courses that you can go through using Trialect that would benefit you, that would help you change that mindset, to be honest. So for me, I think our mindset is key. Then a lot of government factors, the environmental factors that we cannot take away. So the moment we begin to see research as the solution to a sustainable environment and not just a means to earning a degree, I think we'll do better in that wise.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
that response, Deborah. So I think we just take one final question, which is already on the chat, and then I think we'll have to end there because our time is up. Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you have a Twitter handle? Someone is requesting for your Twitter account.
Oh, yes.
As well
Yes,
as
go
just
check it.
asking about how you deal with, yeah,
Mental
how you
health
deal with mental health issues on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis. Okay, yes. Fun fact, I cry a lot. Okay, and that's my way of letting out the steam. There is a usual line my friends use, and it's that, oh, you're heartless. I don't know what that means, but I have come to understand that what they mean is that what you expect to see me break down and be so low and blah blah blah, you would most likely just say, well, that's it. In as much as we talk about emotional intelligence, which I think I've taken mine to a level that could be quite questionable, I do have moments where I am at my lowest. And one thing I do is find that thing that makes me happy and doesn't make sense. I'll give you an example. You can mention like tons of movies, and I tell you, oh, I've listened to it. There is a difference, not watched, listened. So you'll find me even most times when I'm reading, Netflix is at the background. I'm listening to movies on a steady. I listen to, what is this, Squid Game? I listen to it so much that when I see people talk about the characters, I'm like, what's this person? Okay, so this person was also in that movie. Okay, cool. But I never, ever take two things away from myself. My shopping, I love clothes. So I jump into the mall, I buy clothes, come back broke, I'm happy. I let out the steam. So I do take moments to do things that I love. If I need to cry it out, I take a moment, cry it out, put on my powder, and I'm back out. So being strong does not mean not facing the reality of being human. I'm human, I have emotional resilience, but I still love myself enough to know that if I'm insane, I am of help to nobody. So I always find time to take breaks, do what I love, shopping. So if you need a partner on your next shopping, if you do not want to follow your financial intelligence, please, I'm all here. I would help you go on that shopping spree. And of course, I do love to dance. Yes, I
Oh,
do.
amazing.
So you want to see some moves, Ruth? Oh, not today. So okay, that is what I do basically. I just take breaks to do the things that makes me
Right.
happy.
Thank
That's it.
you. So could you please just type your Twitter handle on the chat if you have
I
it?
I do have all handles on all social media pages,
Yeah.
but then I have to go look at, because
Okay, it's fine. We can share on Twitter. We can share on Twitter. Once you share it with us, and then we can post it on our Twitter page. So yeah, please follow us on Twitter at My Science Journey. We will share Deborah's handles there.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you so much for your honesty. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us. That was really inspiring, even for me personally. Yeah, and thank you for taking out the time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And I look forward to participating in this as an audience this time. So thank you so much, Nehemiah. Thanks, Ruth.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, let me just invite Nehemiah to say a word before we close, actually. Nehemiah, if you're still here.
Okay, thank you so much, Deborah, for honoring the invite and coming also to share with us your wonderful journey and the inspirations that we could not even stop listening, but time has been brief. We won't hesitate again to welcome you back because our elder sister is ahead of us to tell us when to cry and when to dance and when to shop. So we'll always reach out. Thank you so much. And for each one of you for joining today on this series of My Science Journey. We hope to even expand even to better heights. Ruth was planning to start a podcast on the same so that we have the stories with us, not to be forgotten, but to be listened over and over again. So thank you. Ruth, you can sign us off.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Yeah, till the next session. See you then. Bye-bye.